listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's R&B Divas LA After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's R&B Divas LA After Show.
Yeah, on him. Cheated.
I wasn't expecting that unison cheating. But anyway, Bing is for doing, and we are doing another episode of R&B Divas here at LA at AfterBuzz TV. I'm your host, Bamm Ericsen.
And I'm co-host Megan Thomas, also known as Meg Scoop, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
I am Alfred Thomas II at All Eyes on Black.
And I'm Larice Peoples at True Peoples, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Meg Thomas, thank you.
Stop trying to be like me.
And we have a very special guest in the building. He's been getting a lot of tweets for last night's episode. We want to please welcome Mr. Fred Thomas Jr. in the building.
All right.
Yeah.
So we want to thank you for sitting on the couch with us. I mean, wow, this has been a very interesting 2 weeks watching what you've experienced on R&B Divas LA. So we're gonna get your thoughts and perspectives on the last two episodes. Cool. And so let's just get started. Let's start with Dawn first. Dawn and her eggs.
Which part? I'm about to say which part of Dawn?
As the doctor said, rotten eggs.
Do you guys think that Dawn was being a little sensitive? I don't feel like the doctor was telling her anything that.
I think at this point in time in Dawn's age, you know, she's an older woman. She want to have kids. She never had kids, and she's at that point where she don't want to have no for an answer. And I just think that I think she's over exaggerating about the situation. She had to be realistic about it. But you know, the doctor's only telling her the truth. The likelihood of you actually having a child, even a healthy child, is real kind of small to none.
Right. I mean, I agree with that, but I do think that the doctor could have been a little more sensitive because he has to deal with this all the time. So it's just because you're used to telling 50, 60 couples a day you can't have kids does not mean that it's okay that
So he should show favor?
No. It means that he doesn't need to call anybody's eggs rotten. Okay, we get it. Yes, 47, your eggs are probably rotten, but I'm sure there's a medical term for that you could use instead of rotten.
But see, but what he also said prior to that is he says that, you know, you have a lot of eggs and the good eggs run out quicker than. Right.
Yeah.
So he explained, for me, I felt like the doctor explained it to her and said after Dawn was she seemed a little, I don't know, apprehensive, and he basically just said, you know, your eggs spoil or rotten.
It's like, you know what?
I got my Denny's. But I mean, for me, I just thought that it's a very sensitive topic. It's something that is not easy, I believe, for any woman, especially when they reach a certain age. And her being in that situation with the doctor, I thought he could have been more compassionate. And I think with that, it would have made it easier. And I mean, especially with cameras being there, you think he would try to adhere to the feelings of the person or the client in front of you. I mean, but at the same time, this was the first time I've seen like real strength come out of her as a person, whereas she heard horrible news, and you see her throughout the show always worried about performing, always worried about the monologues, always worried about this and that, where when she finally confronted her fears, there was an element of being strengthened by it and not agreeing with it and, you know, trusting in her faith in the Lord and what she believes her destiny is. And I think that really made me fall back on her team as far as her as a person. I didn't necessarily, I don't like complainers. So for me, it was hard to swallow many of the times where she was expressing her feelings. But in a sense, she has a lot of knowledge about why she would feel, you know, upset about performing. And in this case, dealing with a possible not having children, I'm glad she was able to fight for her pride.
Your thoughts?
What you thought, Fred? You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I totally agree. It seems as though she's kind of been sort of like in a weak sort of position the past couple of shows, and this particular time it was like she's convicted. She's like, yo, I'm going to have some kids, and I believe in miracles and this whole kind of thing, and I think that's what she wants. Prayer. I mean,
Right.
I mean, I just think the big thing about her with her conviction is that she's passionate about having kids. This monologue and really kind of like reuniting her career. She's kind of skeptical about it because something she don't know. It's the unknown. Even with having kids, it's the unknown. But she's more passionate about having kids than the monologue and even being outspoken amongst the divas. So that's just my take on it.
Right, and I will say this is a conversation. The stuff that she's doing now should have been done like 10 years ago when she's about 37. Because at 47, you knocking on menopause door, and that is not the time to try to. You need to extract your eggs if you considering having kids, like before you get to 40. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I will say I do think that the stuff that she's going through right now is a little late. She probably should have thought about this ahead of time just so her chances would be better. But because she's later in life, she's 47, I think she should be open to all avenues, which is also being able to use a donor egg.
Yeah.
So maybe this is not your genes, but do you want to have a child?
what about adoption? I mean,
Exactly,
that's an
as her
option,
boyfriend says. Yeah, what about adoption?
But I do understand her position on not wanting to do the somebody else's eggs, because it's almost like that person's having a
Okay,
kid.
but what's more important? Do you want a baby,
someone's like-
or do you want your baby?
I mean, but that's almost like adoption, though. I mean,
But
I'd rather adopt. Yeah.
Right. Okay,
Agreed.
so then
In that
talk.
case.
And to go along with what I was saying about the specialist, he did list different options for what she could do.
Right.
But the question is, if she's 40, if Dawn is 48 and she's just now
47.
going,
47.
She said 47.
so and then Chris is 48.
Yes.
Okay. So if Dawn is 47 and she's going to the specialist at this point in her life.
I don't know of any 47-year-old person that's having kids.
Halle Berry, 46.
There's-
I'm just
seen
saying.
America.
There's plenty, but there's plenty, but like Meg said, this conversation
Should have
happened, 10 years ago, and I just feel like. I don't know if she's putting on for the cameras, but when she's with her boyfriend Chris, she's like, God, don't make any mistakes, and if someone tells me that I can't do it, then I'm gonna do it. I mean, you have to be realistic, Don. If I say, Don Robinson, you can't walk on water, you have to be realistic, and you have to set aside your feelings of what's happening to you and realize that time is ticking.
Other options.
And you have other options, and you need to accept these options, or you may not have a child, period.
Yeah.
So that's just what I think.
Yeah.
Any other thing before we move on?
Now, well, I will say about her boyfriend. I mean, I will say I'm glad she seems to be in a really loving relationship.
Yeah.
Don is down with the swirl. I was gonna say that when she said a couple episodes of her boyfriend was from Wales. I was like, I don't think any black people are from Wales. At least I don't know them. So I will say, okay, Don got the little swirl going on. They seem really happy, and she makes the mention that they've only been together 6 months, but they're moving pretty fast. And to me, I don't think when you're close to 50, I don't really think you need to date for years and years.
Be like, yo, 6 months, break it.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
at that point, you're a couple dates and you kind of know you're wasting your time.
You know what you're going to do.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But did anyone catch when her boyfriend Chris said, we should try the, practice until basically let's have sex? Did you notice the tone? Did you notice the music change? It sounded like porn music, right? That's just me. That's what I thought.
On cue. Change the sex music.
It's just great music direction, I would say. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Speaking of music, what do you guys think about iTunes?
People, we love the fact that you watch this show, and we want you to continue to support us, continue watching us online. Thank you for being a part of iTunes. We want you to rate, comment. We have Fred here, and we are very grateful. It's because of your participation in our show that we're able to bring such wonderful guests and have such wonderful content.
Right. And if you want to also support us, make sure you go to serialbuddies.com
That's right.
and download the movies Adventures of Serial Buddies. This movie was produced by Maria Menounos and Kevin Undergaro, who are also the founders of AFTERBUZZ TV. So your contribution of downloading this movie helps us to keep the lights on, helps us to keep great guests like Fred coming into the doors. And it's really simple. You can go to serialbuddies.com or you can go to iTunes and search for Adventures of Serial Buddies and download the movie. It's really easy. Thanks.
Support.
All right, so now let's get into the meat and potatoes of last night's episode now.
Oh, boy.
So, And for those who are watching or listening, you guys can call in. We're live at 424-256-1729 in case you guys have some questions for myself or for our guest Fred. So let's get into Kelly versus Shantae.
Dun, dun, dun.
Man, Kelly is I'm starting to have a change of heart for Kelly.
I told you, didn't I tell you last week that Kelly was no longer a friend of my head for that episode? And Kelly, you are no longer a friend of my head in this episode either. Maybe next week, but not this week.
It's like, no longer a friend of mine. I mean, I just think that overall, I'm glad Shantae is actually speaking up for everyone and about her feelings and what Kelly is doing and about the whole project, because it's something that she really wants to do. And I think it's a great thing that she's still like literally, she wants to do the show, and no matter what, she's not gonna allow Kelly to stop her. But I just think Kelly's direction with everything that's going, I think that it's wrong. Her approach, the way she kind of approaching everything, the way she approached Fred, the way she approached the ladies, the way she approached the whole situation, is really like wrong. And between her and Shantae, I knew it was gonna happen. Shantae is a hot sauce, like she's spicy. She's spicy.
I just felt like it was really Kelly against the machine. It was a machine she created. I think I get the fact that she had that great idea, but there was no putting in work on the dream or the idea. I felt like everybody was justified for how they felt, how uneasy they were about the project, especially being women of this caliber and having such a big part of this representing who they are in their overall career, because it's what you do today that can taint what you have done in the past years. And I think they're all equally concerned. I think with Kelly, with her scheduling, with traveling, I think she just let this baby go for a while and let it be neglected. And then you see what happens when you have people who can, be apart. And like I said before, I think they just went against the grain with what they originally had as a formula for them getting along, which was everybody getting where you fit in, and let's just make this happen. And then, I felt like I apologize to you, Fred, for seeing you go through so much from a male perspective, especially someone in the industry, someone who has been brought in on this and kind of unaware. I feel like there's so much we're going to get to learn about the back end of what was really going on and how people were really treating each other.
And we have a caller on the line.
What?
Wow. Caller, are you there?
Hello.
Hi, how are you? What's your name?
It's Miss Q.
Miss Q. How you doing, Miss Q?
I'm doing fine.
Good. So you have what's your question or your comment?
Well, I want to ask Fred, when the first scene where I could see where he was trying to, like when they first came in the room, I could see he was trying to get the rehearsal started, and you could just tell by the way Kelly you could tell she was like wanting to be in control of the whole thing, and it was irking her that Fred was like, I guess, having some type of power, and it was just, you could just tell on her face, because as soon as he opened his mouth, the first sentence, like, she was like, hold on. She was like, and then she just went it, like, I want to ask Fred, like, what did he think in that moment when she was just, that first scene, what did he think, what was going through his head, basically, when she was just going off on him like that?
Whoa. The first thing was I didn't know if it was real or not. It kind of caught me off guard because I thought she had known that I was coming. So at one, it's so funny because it was just a swirl of things. It was, am I being disrespected? Am I being challenged? What is she trying to say? Is she trying to get something out? Is there some issues going on with her? Is there some issues with the women here? So my whole thing was like, all right, regardless, at the end of the day, you need to find what you need to do and how you need to handle the situation. And I just was like, excuse me? Oh, and I was just like...
I was just saying that I commended you on that, how you handled that situation.
Yeah, it was, I had to take the high road. I just said take the high road. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mrs.
It was just the opposite.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have other callers, but we're only limited to one question. But thank you for calling and continue watching.
Thank you.
Okay, and so that's something that I wanted to bring up. So at the first rehearsal, Kelly, her whole disposition obviously was not there. And then she went from a 9 to probably a 17.5 when she popped into your face and she said how, can I feel safe with you? And then she goes into all of her past.
Right.
What would you thinking? Like, okay, if she was a dude, I would have probably punched her in the face. Like, what were you thinking?
It was crazy because when she came in, the first thing I saw that look, was that I hate to say that look, that look, like
Yes.
who is this, who this dude?
Yeah.
So it's like when I saw the look, my mind was like, okay, it's gonna be an issue. So let's try to just make it calm, try to incorporate them into the exercise that you're doing. And then I started hearing her and Dawn talk on the side about we need to talk to him. And so when I tried to present myself, it just kept pretty much just snowballing.
Yeah.
So when she jumped in my face, like I was like, this can't be real. I was like, this can't be. She don't know me. So why would you disrespect me? But I said, you know what? Take the higher road and listen to what she's saying. So she was saying, can you bring this out of me? If I'm if this stuff that happened to me when I was younger. So logically, I just did.
Right.
Because I'm right now I'm controlling the situation with you firing at me, but I'm letting you know I'm in total control right now of what's going on, and if I have to, and if we were on stage and I needed to help you make an adjustment, then this is how it would be. This is how we try to bring things out.
Now,
I have a question.
Now, wouldn't if she revealed all of this information to you, isn't that kind of the icebreaker? She came off as if I can't trust you, I'm not safe around you, but she's closer to the girls, but yet she just met Claudette. Claudette was new. No one knew who Claudette was until they got to the Savoy. Then she reveals all this information to you. By her revealing this information to you, whether if it's out of pain or anger, or if an attitude or just to come at you in any informal way, that is still an icebreaker. So she did reveal information to you, which... I mean, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. But the thing was, though, it was a contradiction because she was saying that she didn't want to tell me anything.
Yeah.
So when she started telling me this, that's what just kind of threw me off. So I said, well, let me all right, maybe this is her icebreaker. Maybe she's trying to test to see what kind of guy I am. Can I control a situation like this? So I couldn't take it as a disrespect. I just had to take it as professionalism, because if I took it as disrespect, I might have reacted differently. I might have would have walked out. I might would have said, get out my face. I don't know. And I didn't think it was a situation that needed to be combative, because I just felt as though if I would have said something, then Kelly would have escalated and we would have been going back and forth. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to get this show done, and these ladies need to trust me. And if they see I lose control with her, then clearly they might be like, oh, he might not be the dude. He may lose control with us at some point in time. So it was about developing that trust. And I had to show her that she could trust me as well, too.
Okay. I have a question for you as far as going back. I understand partially why Kelly would be mad. I mean, the way she went about it, I think was completely wrong. But I get why she's mad, because this was her idea. So if it's her idea, then it's also hers to kind of guide and help progress, pick a director. So my question is, how did you get involved, and who is paying you to the point where this is your job? How did that conversation happen, and who contacted you?
Well, you know how this business is. Somebody that knows somebody knows somebody. I got a call, and they said, yo, this is what we're looking for as far as somebody for this particular show. So, of course, I had to submit credentials and all that and whatnot, and they had to run references through agents and managers and people in the business. Even though they knew my work, they kind of wanted to get a second and third opinion. And then, of course, they had to run it through the network. And I guess, they was like, okay, he's good on paper, and we've seen the things he's done. We've seen the things he's done. Let's bring him in. And pretty much that's how I kind of got there.
Wait, so were you hired? Were you already hired, or was it kind of like you'll get paid later?
No,
because
it was
a job. So.
Yeah, so it was. So when they told me, they was like, "This is a job. Like you are to come on this show, and you're going to do couple episodes. The girls are going to meet you."
So hold on, you weren't hired by an actual production company that was putting on the actual play.
No,
you were hired by the production company that's putting on R&B Divas LA.
Everybody that got hired by R&B Divas are the same people that hired me.
Okay.
Which makes sense because Kelly didn't have her production. She didn't have her production prepared. But it also shows that when Kelly and Shantae were having a conversation walking down the street, Shantae Moore said that, "Oh, I have a producer in mind." So it was was a little confusing because Shantae came from the aspect to Kelly that somebody that she was going to get a producer to just kind of help get things off the ground, and then you come, and then now you're directing.
Right.
So it was. Go ahead.
Well, my question is,
Hold on,
because I was going to say, because to my understanding, once I said I was interested, then to my understanding, it went back to these agents, managers, and talent to let them know, like, yo, this guy Fred is coming in, and we've heard of him, and some of your people have heard of him, and so to kind of, I guess, legitimize it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
now my question was there a platform for you to find some kind of compromise with Kelly and all that her vision was? Did you even know that it was a vision of hers, or was it more like just coming into the project, and then when you had that kind of thrown in your face, was there an allowance for you to figure things out with her, or was it always, it seemed like you really didn't have much you could say,
right?
And like, you know what I'm saying, it was like, well, I can understand what the problem, why they not dealing with the problem? It seemed like it's just two sides and no agreement. So for me, it was like, I didn't know if you were in a compromising situation, or it was something that she wasn't available for you to get there.
Yeah, it was always and that's funny you say that, because when I came in, to my understanding, they knew, that I was going to be there.
Well, for the record of what it appeared on the show, Little Mo, Don, and Kelly were at the house, and Little Mo introduced and said who you were.
Right.
So for Kelly to say that she was not aware of you at all, she was informed by Little Mo. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So when I get there, my whole thing was like, okay, this is not. I don't know if who's running this. Like, honestly, I didn't know if it was Kelly's show, Kelly's idea. I didn't know it was the group. From what I understand, it was a collective sort of thing, and Kelly was quarterbacking the whole thing because she had more passion about the particular project. But once the girls collectively developed a passion for it, they was like, okay, this is our baby too. So it's like, if you're not going to nurture the baby, then we're going to take the baby and nurture it for us. So those initial looks and all the things that you kind of see, I literally was like, I didn't know who. I didn't know. I didn't know if Kelly was running this thing or if the girls. Honestly, I was clueless. So I had to listen to Kelly. I had to listen to what she was saying. And that's how I kind of figured out, like, oh, okay, she's passionate about this thing. She's I guess there was some kind of conversation where she said she was running this situation. And then I had to also listen to the girls, which was their side, like, okay, but you wasn't here. Okay, but your schedule, and we still have a show to do, because at the end of the day, there's still a show to do. There's this play to do.
So when you were working first with the girls, I think it was Shantae, Little Mo, Claudette, all the girls except for Dawn and Kelly. When you broke down and gave them a format or structure, when you came in, did they? I mean, what did they say to you? Did they say, we would like you to potentially be a director or producer, or what was it that they said to you?
They said, so we hear you are going to be working with us, and possibly our director, because it still was a kind of feel Fred thing out. And to me, I thought I was still being felt out in a way. And then they started asking questions about me, my background, where I go to school, who I've worked with, things of that nature. And it just kind of, developed from there.
Okay, I have a question too. So as this was going along, was there any point, at what point I should say, where you like, okay, you know what, I'm done?
Every day. No, literally, because there was so much confusion, and I didn't know what was going on, and I didn't know the backstory. I didn't know there was, things that happened in Vegas, and I didn't know all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, yo, honestly, I'm cool. I was like, I want to be here, but I don't know what I'm defending. Because, I watching the episodes, I understand that Shantae and Mo had my back. But Kelly was so, but they had loyalty to Kelly in a way. So I think they were also trying to, like, yo, you know, let's just do this as girls. Let's just get on board. This dude is okay. He's legit. So it took me to a place to say, like, okay, nobody's saying Fred is our director. It was like, come on, he's the dude that has been here, and he's the guy that we feel comfortable working with. But at that particular time, it wasn't, yo, I understand you, Kelly, but he's our dude. So when since I wasn't hearing that, it was like, well, maybe I'm not wanted. I mean, I know I'm wanted, but I don't know if I'm wanted. So I had to. So once me and the girls had a chance to talk, I did see that, okay, they are trusting me. So, but they have a loyalty to her. So I have to find a sort of common ground to kind of, you know, appease both sides. And if, you know, however we need to do to get Kelly on board, then, you know, I was down, because my whole game plan was to try to work with all 6 women.
So I think the loyalty did somewhat change, and so now let's get back on track, and so let's continue to break down the show. We were in the middle of Shantae Moore and Kelly, and so Kelly, you know, even before I even watched the episode, I was getting tweets like crazy in regards to how Shantae was the one who finally spoke up and finally, you know, defended and basically confronted or spoke up against Kelly. So what were you guys' thoughts about what Shantae did and how Kelly responded?
I think Shantae was totally within the lane of great decision making in the situation of having a short time span and having a show to put together. I mean, which made, you know, Kelly's reactions all the more selfish and ridiculous. I think it really put her on Front Street, because there was no maliciousness, there was no being vindictive or trying to take somebody's shine. You know what I mean? And for her, it was obviously, it was painfully obvious that she had a hurt puppy kind of syndrome, where she was really mad at the fact that she wasn't controlling stuff. I think she slipped up and told the truth when she was like in the middle of the episode, where she just basically admitted to it. You know what I mean? That she was just like, how did I lose control? Yeah. She didn't care about nothing that was being talked about. I think what she was doing to Fred was just tactics to put him and try to shake him and hopefully see him fall in front of the girl, so she could be like, see, this man can't even hold what I'm doing to him. How you gonna really do a show? And I think it was like I said, it was a compromise for him, being in a position where he was bringing a lot to the table. You could see he was restructuring the show. You could see that he was actually asking them questions about their background, their history, and what they've been going through, and trying to apply that to figuring out something to do. And when she brought Tori in there, it was just like the biggest explosion of, you ain't prepared. He's just jumping in here. You see this man looking like. And then, I mean, but even still, I felt bad for Tori too, because it was a position where, you know, he was thrown in. He didn't know what was going on. She made it blow up like he knew everything, like she been talking to him. He got on the phone and was like, well, you know, if Kelly Price called, it ain't no. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hello, how you doing? I'm just hearing about this. Which means that both of them were in very, you know,
awkward situations,
weak situations, especially if you're preparing for a real show with, like I said, their careers built the pressure upon the situation, which made it all the more behooving of them to listen to what he had going on. And I wish the episode was more about that, to see them using their life and incorporating their music and incorporating this, you know, new art form for them, which would be the acting, and seeing them relate to a director. It was just a whole bunch of hissy fits and a whole bunch of people taking, you know, having to pick sides and figure things out while the time is running out. And I really, it goes on Kelly, because, like I said, it was her idea from the very beginning, and she was the one who had a busy schedule, and her husband was trying to figure things out, and it was there, but she, you know, it's what you do with your time.
I mean, I don't think the fact of the busy schedule. I just think the fact of she just felt like, hey, it's my idea. These women gonna do whatever I ask them to do, and I'm still gonna be in control of the situation. And I think when Shantae actually spoke up about it, she got in her feelings, because, again, like she said, she wasn't in control of the situation anymore. And I think it just really kind of showed how, like, Kelly is as a person. Whereas that if she's not in control, she's gonna be the rude person. She's gonna be the person that you don't want to be around until she's actually in control again. I just think it's selfish of her.
Right. That's why I said, Kelly, you are not a friend in my head no more for this episode. But I will say this. I think even though it was Kelly's idea, and I will defend that and say I think it was her decision to pick somebody and get the ball rolling, and when she dropped that, then she should have been open to letting other people pick the ball up.
Exactly.
So I will say that, but I will also say Kelly wasn't even ready because she called Tori for the first time while she's in this rehearsal. So hold on, wait a minute. So you see that they have all this stuff going on, and she had the idea of using Tori in her head, but what the execution that had already happened was that Fred was being used as the director. So it's like you haven't even executed on your thought, which is let's use Tori.
But it's what, 3 weeks since Vegas? 3 or 4 weeks since Vegas?
Right.
And then Fred, my question to you is the rehearsal that you guys had while Tori and everyone was there, how many rehearsals or what was the time frame from the time you guys first started with the girls to that thing with Tori?
Yeah, and I'm gonna piggyback on something about that when you said when I initially came there and I had the board and everything up. That was roughly maybe about the 4th time I had met with them.
Okay.
Because my initial plan was to try to I wanted them to create this show, but they had a lot going on. It was a lot going on in their lives. So having them sit down and actually write a play, and they've never done that before, was kind of getting away. So I said, well, let me do this. Let me at least lay down a game plan, a blueprint. And with this blueprint, I want y'all to look at this blueprint and let's fill in the pieces with the ideas that you have. And let's try to do that. And that's how that worked. When Tori came on, when Tori came in.
What's that laugh for?
You know what, man? And I said to myself, I'm not going to make him feel like I felt.
Right.
Nice.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to let him go through kind of what I went through because he's walking into this thing too. So yeah, when we had our session, as far as I'm concerned, come in, let's brainstorm and figure this out and see if we can do this, collectively. But I also commend, when I finally saw the footage, I commend Shantae and Mo for stepping up and saying like, yo, this is the cat we wanna use, and that also changed my game plan. It was like, oh, okay, it made me more confident to say, oh, bet, okay, they down, they Team Fred, so cool, I can rock with that.
And Claudette and Michel'le were missing in action this episode.
Yeah.
Claudette had a family emergency and Michel'le just was not there. Was that planned or?
Not that I know of. All I know was that Claudette had the family emergency, and Michel'le had a personal, I don't know if it was an emergency, but it was a personal issue where she couldn't come that day.
Okay.
She couldn't come to rehearsal that day. But I don't, it wasn't, as far as I know, it wasn't planned.
Okay.
Well, I want to know this. So what happened? Are you the director, Fred? Did you direct something with these ladies in it? That's what I want to know.
You gotta stay tuned.
Yeah.
You gotta stay tuned.
I will ask you this. So when I was driving a few months ago, I saw a billboard, and it only had Kelly and Dawn on it talking about their monologue.
Really?
Were you in
Were
there?
you involved?
Interesting.
Was that you? That you weren't involved with it?
I gotta check that. Okay.
Okay, so is there another show that we should be looking for in tune?
Interesting.
Stay tuned.
Well, what was also interesting was I respect the fact that when Shantae and Kelly were kind of going toe for toe, Little Mo sat there and she said nothing. And I like the fact that she chose to stay out of it because she was friends and she didn't want to get involved. And I thought that was a smart decision on Mo just to let these girls. Or you disagree?
Well, I think I agree, but I don't think they were going to go too far. Because I mean, for the most part,
Kelly had a Tim's in her.
I think that was just like fronting. She was fronting the whole time.
But no, not that one. But when it was just the three of them in the room, and when she made the comment about I could do this by myself, and she said tell me where I can get the ticket. Like they were throwing jabs back and forth, and I thought that was a smart.
Sophisticated jabs, though.
Yeah.
Little Mo should have said that because what you
now,
doing?
Little Mo with the little preview clips when she argue, I might get nervous.
Right.
That voice,
She
I might
lose
get
her
nervous.
Jesus
She might do something.
now.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
But Kelly was just a whole bunch of a whole bag of front. And I think, like I said, her true colors came out, and her true being selfish and seeing a dream that you saw in a certain light, and showing. I think it was just showing her bitter. I honestly have a question of when it came to seeing Tori there and being thrown in that position, was it something where you felt like you were going to have to fight for yours, or something where you were open to compromise? Because he seemed like he was mad open to, like you could tell he was thrown in there. Like even if as much as she was talking and representing the idea of using him as something that was very solid and well planned out, it just unraveled and really showed its true colors once you two were looking eye to eye, and he had so much he had to handle. I understood why he jumped in there and was trying to take control, but it also seemed like they were following some of the format that you were doing, but twisting it up, so it made it seem like you had more knowledge about what to do at the time.
Right. I mean, the thing was we didn't have any time, so we need to go with some kind of game plan. So let's go with my game plan. If some things need to be changed around or adjusted, then fine, I'm open to that. Because at the end of the day, there's a show that needs to be done. So my whole thing was like, I was open, for compromise. Totally open.
But my thing, my thing was like, 'cause it feels like you have more experience in the industry over Tori. I'm just saying, like, overall, but why did she just didn't bring him in as like a co-producer to help produce the show, and really like he kind of helped Kelly and like evolve Kelly's story to basically to fit into your production, into your format. I think that would have been more helpful for the team as a whole, because they trusted you more, and she only trusted him over you, and you have 5 other people that trust, well, 4 and a half. Because Don's kind of fading side. She's fading side.
Right. I mean, that's a good point. That actually was, I think, maybe brought up in that little circle when we were talking about it. That was something to consider. But I think the whole thing was because there was so much confusion, it was like there needs to be one director, because then maybe Kelly might want it directed in a certain kind of way, her way, and then the girls in the other way. So it would have been a lot of clashing. I did want, like I said, I was down for compromise, only because I wanted everybody to do this together. I wanted peace, because I'm thinking about the, down the line, the bigger picture. And we need to be creatively all on the same page. So however we need to do this, then do it. If you want to go with me, then go with me. If you want to go with him, then go with him. I'm cool with that. Figure it out. But I want you guys to figure it out. I don't want to I'm not going to bully you into going with me. So
my interpretation of that whole scene, I took it a little bit differently. For me, it felt like Tori would say something, then you had to say something. You had to say something, then Tori. For me, it felt like a back and forth thing. Like, I'm sorry, but for me, it felt almost like a competition. Tori would say something, and then you would correct him. You would say something. For me, it just felt a back and forth thing. And my question to you is, because we know that that there's a lot of edits, how come you and Tori, just as Kelly said, can you excuse yourself? Why couldn't the two of you have excused yourself and maybe had a little meeting in the corner and say, we're both brought into this. Let's just talk for 3 minutes and let's just figure out what's on your pad. Let's share what's on each other's paper and have a conversation.
Because my thing was, I wasn't brought in to make that decision. It's up to you. This is, at the end of the day, this is R&B Divas. Fred is here to direct this play for the R&B Divas. You guys need to figure this out, because you're the ones who are going on stage. So you need to figure out who is going to be the guy that's going to, lead you to this win. That's why it wasn't, him and I stepping to the side, because at the end of the day, it was their decision to figure out who they wanted.
And so at that point, once Fred was there, were you informed before, I guess before they arrived, were you already informed that Tori was now the director and you were
out,
or you could assist if you chose to stay? Were you given any information prior to that meeting?
No. The only conversation I had, and that was when I was explaining to them that, hey, I'm cool if y'all want to go with who you want to go with. I don't know if they showed all that. Kelly was basically like, yo, you can be his assistant. You know, you can be
First AD.
yeah, you can be like. So I
Right.
was kind of like, so you know, I was like, yo, that was not my thing. I didn't come here for that, and that's what I'm not going to do. I said I'm not going to devalue myself, and nothing to take away from him. I said, but I didn't come here for that. I didn't come
Right.
here to be nobody's assistant.
Right.
So I wasn't going to devalue myself by doing that. If I can't be that guy, then we're good. It's cool, and there's no hurt feelings here.
So when you and Kelly had this conversation, was this before the big meeting with you, Tori, and the girls, or was this after?
It was actually like right before Tori had came in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, long story short, is you directing something with other ladies?
Yeah, you gotta see.
Don't worry, I'm gonna watch it. Don't worry. I'm Team Fred, 'cause your last name is Thomas,
That's
like
what's
me
up.
and
Stood
Alfred.
his ground. We
Yes.
get our
what's up.
respect, you know.
Services.
Appreciate it.
Before we go into your film career and your acting, let's just go really quickly. Dawn, as far as her position in this, she seemed to take sides when she was at Little Mo's house holding the babies. I love Little Mo. She says, "Whoever do the most cleaning gets to do the most. Can do the most. They can do the most jumping or something. So like whoever cleans, you know, that's a typical Oprah mom. Like, all right, whoever cleans up the most, you know, you get more cookies. I love Little Mo.
Right.
But at the house, Don was taking
The collective side.
yeah the collective side,
Not,
and then when they were all together. When Kelly was like, I don't think this is going to be a good idea, you know, you hear Don, me too. So
She's one of them, like fair weather fans. Like, if she's not around Kelly, she's on all the other girls' side, because you never notice that she never said anything bad about Kelly, or Kelly did this wrong, or she's always kind of like, oh, you talk about Kelly, I'm not gonna say nothing, but I'm on your team. But when Kelly's around, she's like, oh, I'm Team Kelly. So I just think Don just kind of playing the field to kind of see who's gonna give her the most publicity and who's gonna help her career the most. I hate to say it, but I mean that's just how I feel.
The sad part about it, the situation, I never really got a chance to I really never got a chance to know Dawn. The sessions that we had, they were short and brief, and it was like very, very polite and cordial every time, you know, her and I met with each other, but I never had a really long sit down and got a chance to know her. So I really can't speak a lot about that particular situation with her, trying to figure out what were the sides, because I only learn things, you know, second nature. I get there the next day and it was like, don't want to go this way or don't want to go that way.
So that answers your question, there, Scoop, that no, he probably didn't direct, because if he doesn't really know
got
Don.
that, honey. I read between them lines. Thank you, Fred.
All right, so now let's now that you know we've talked about R&B Divas LA, now let's talk about you, the director, the actor. You have a film that's out on oh God, I'm blanking out.
Netflix.
Yes.
Look here.
24-Hour Love. It was really good, by the way.
thank
Check
you.
it out
Yes.
if you have it on Netflix. 24-Hour Love.
It's an all-star cast. I
It's pretty
mean,
much it's loaded.
Bring the people together to make the money.
tell us a little bit about that experience working with all those A-listers such as Flex Alexander, Lynn Whitfield,
Courtney Harris.
Courtney
my
Harris,
homegirl,
your buddy.
yes.
Tatiana
Ali,
my boy Dwayne.
Darius
Yeah.
McQuarrie. Who else we had in there? Keith Robinson, Melinda
Yeah.
Williams, Lynn Whitfield.
Yeah, Lynn Whitfield.
Come on, Queen
Man.
B. So it was amazing. It was amazing. It was in a short amount of time, and it was a play that was written by Don Welch and picked up by Image Entertainment. So it was a play that was shot in location for film. So it was difficult because we were used to seeing it as a play. So I had to figure out how to keep it moving now as a film, being in these, you know, different locations, 7 locations, but in that one room, and keeping the story moving and entertaining. But it was an amazing experience. Everybody was just A-list, no prop, great professional cast. They were amazing. I can honestly say that they were amazing.
Lynn Whitfield, she was sitting in that chair. She scared me. She was so what was it? Go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you. Let me tell you, any actress out there that's listening or watching, that was class. That was class for me. Watching her scene was class. She had gotten that script maybe 4 or 5 days the scene is almost 22 minutes long by itself. It was 6 pages of dialogue. When we did the rehearsal, she went through it. For the first time I had met her, she sat there and blew through it. And she had just got it like 4 days ago.
Wow.
I'm sitting there like, oh my God, she's a beast. And then she did it 6 more times in a row, all the way through. And then we kind of broke it up to, you know, to go for close-ups and, you know, some other angles and whatnot. She's a beast. That was class. I was sitting there like, wow, this is school right here. So, you know, yeah, that's great training.
And then you have a play 12 by 9 in Philly.
12 by 9. It's going to Philly. It ran out here in LA last summer. That's the play I won. I was nominated for 7 NAACP Theater Awards and won 3. Best director, best producer, best playwright.
Yay!
And that's about 3 African American males who have to share a prison cell. So yeah, it's a heavy piece.
Wow.
It's heavy. Yeah. It's heavy, and yeah. So we're taking it hometown, bringing it to Philly, and in November.
Okay, yeah, because I was like, can I be in the remake of that? But I guess not.
Yeah, it's only 3 characters. Just 3 characters. Yeah. 3 characters for the hometown. Yeah.
Tell us about Sunday Morning.
Sunday Morning is a play that's written by Kanique Sky, who was actually she was on American Idol.
Yeah, Kanique Sky.
Yeah. And I'm participating in that, and we are going to be in South Carolina and in Atlanta in October. So really looking forward to that.
Nice.
Yeah.
You might get around.
And you have a web series.
And it's actually created by Sadaka Muhammad, and it's called Moms, the series. And I'm one of the directors on the series. I directed so far episode 4, 5, and 6.
Nice.
Sweet.
And then you have Kareem on iTunes, right?
Yes, Kareem just came out. It's a piece that I'm one of the stars in, directed by Carl Seaton, and that just came out yesterday on iTunes. And that's a film. It's a silent movie. And it's powerful. It's been doing a lot on the festival circuit, and it got this distribution deal through iTunes, and it's an amazing piece. You know, the bruh, y'all need to see it. And it's based up. Carl's from Chicago, so it's based off of all the violence that's been going on in Chicago. So it that's the backstory where he kind of got the idea.
Are you an actor who directs or a director who acts?
I am a entertainer. And I am a creator.
You are great at
being around the bush.
You know, man, because I didn't know what I was doing until I came out here and people said that, oh, you can only be this, or you can be, because when I've been doing this since I was 8 years old. I was an actor, I was a writer. I was writing scripts and directing stuff at 8 in grade school. I didn't know what it was. It's just that's why I enjoyed watching Saturday Night Live and Steve Martin and Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy. And, you know, the guys I've kind of watched was, you know, like Mel Brooks. He does it all. No one says, oh, Mel Brooks is just a director. And Mel Brooks he's a songwriter, producer. So my mind has always been trained that way. Until I came out here, that's when it was like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. But I don't think like that. You know, if it hits me and the creative juices are there, it flows, and I don't think we should
limit ourselves.
Yeah, limit ourselves to those things. Yeah.
Do you have a bucket list of actors that you would like to work with?
Denzel.
Okay.
De Niro. Viola Davis. Meryl Streep. My bucket list is heavy. I got a couple buckets. Sidney Poitier. I'm actually I have a project on the table now with Danny Glover.
Nice.
And so we're trying to get financing and things for that. Yeah, he's another actor, dream actor I would like to work with. Met Danny, and great dude, just great, just wisdom and just a bunch of stories and knowledge, and yeah, cool dude. So trying to get that piece done. That's called Broad Street Diner,
Gotcha.
Based in South Philly.
Say it one more time.
Broad Street Diner.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Based in South Philly.
Which you're from.
Where I'm from. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, so let's go into news and not news and gossip, but let's go into predictions.
Yes.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Well, I'll start. I predict that Fred is going to be directing. I think that the R&B Divas is going to split, and they're going to have 2 shows. And I think...
Like a church split?
Yes, they're going to have a church split. It's going to be now they Pentecostal. Right. So I think that Fred will be directing the Pentecostal play with the 4 ladies. And I think that Tori will be directing the play with... Kelly and Dawn, and I think Dawn will adopt.
So you really think her eggs is rotting?
You know what?
You've been judging her this whole time.
It's not gonna happen.
Go ahead. What's yours?
I just predict that Kelly, again, she's still gonna continue to be who she is, and that Shantae's really still gonna kind of just like call out on everything she does. And I agree with you that it's possibly gonna be either 2 plays or it's just gonna be Kelly and Dawn and the Divas. And I think basically more drama is gonna start to create amongst the Divas because of Kelly and her pride.
Yeah, I'm sad to say, but I think the rest of this show is gonna be turned up and arguing.
Finally.
I mean, if that's what you were looking for, well, I think you're gonna get it. But as far as what I felt they were doing and what they were bringing to the table, I still appreciate and hope that they figure out a way so that we can see these gentlemen and their work habits and how they work with celebrity types and women of this nature and great talent ability.
I don't think the other 4 girls are going to have the monologue. I think it's just Kelly and Dawn. That's it. I think it's a wrap. It's just too much mess that has involved, and so I don't think it's going to happen. But obviously we're not done because Little Mo and Dawn gets into it. Now, Little Mo already said the old her, she cuts you out. The new one just kind of cuts you out just a little bit.
Right.
So even the little bit of Little Mo, she looked like she was
Right.
Yeah.
She was more scary than Kelly.
But little,
That's that Baltimore, baby. You know.
yeah, but at least Dawn, stood up for herself, and I think she said, "I'm not scared of
She
you" or
was standing
something.
up there, she walking away.
Well, I was. Y'all didn't see me. I was there.
What it was
Right.
like?
And let me just start my prediction. I just want to say, that's funny.
Go on, be a part of the team,
Go
man.
ahead, Fred.
My prediction is that I was bored on because I really, really wanted to do the show. So what wound up happening was they.
You know what? Let me tell you something. If I could say what I want to say, I can't.
I was like, what happened?
When the cameras, when the lights go out, I got something for you. But
Dirty, Fred. Dirty.
I will say this. I feel maybe you were brought on for exposure. And I hope that this takes you to another level in your film career.
Thanks.
There are a lot of TV shows that are coming on to TVOne, so I'm thinking maybe they brought you on, and then maybe you'll start directing some of the TV shows
Put it
for
out there.
TVOne.
I like how he
Hey,
thinks.
put it out there. You know what I'm saying?
Although you dogged me out on that one, but I'm still.
That was good.
But that's what I honestly think. I honestly think that you were obviously brought on there for exposure. The fans have been responding and saying what a great director you are and the vision that you had. And so that's really my prediction. My prediction is I feel you're going to go very far and film, whether if it's acting, directing, writing, whatever you want to do. And so we want to thank you for coming and being a guest with us. So everyone,
Great show, everybody. Watch. Please watch.
Yes.
Great
So-
team of people here.
tell everyone where we can find you on social media.
You can find me on at Durf Samat with the tweet. I'm new to all this. Durf Samat.
Spell that for me, please.
Yeah,
D
'cause-
is my name backwards. Fred DERF. Thomas SAMOHT. Samat.
My name is
So
backwards.
creative.
Do you have a website or where they can find
Yes,
your work?
they can find me at about.me. Fred Thomas Jr.
Gotcha. All right. And let everyone know where you guys can be found on social media.
And you can find me at True Peoples, Instagram, Facebook. Also check out TruePeoplesMedia.com.
You can find me at All Eyes on Black or Alfred Thomas on Facebook. Look at my face.
As always, hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Meg Scoop, like scoop of ice cream. And don't forget to go to SerialBuddies.com and download the movies Adventures of Serial Buddies.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Bamm Ericsen. We've had a great show tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. We want to thank our special guest, Mr. Fred Thomas Jr.
y'all
Thank you
great.
for watching AfterBuzz TV R&B Divas LA. We will see you guys next week.
Ciao.
Peace.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.